Yeah, it's off.
So this is my...
Yeah.
It's out of phase though. It's out of phase. You listen to this. Listen to this. It's out of phase.
Oh, yeah.
So it's out of
Nice,
phase.
right?
Yeah, it's out of phase. No, audio's out of phase.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that is my...
Okay. Oh, does that turn up our voices? Ah, okay. They were saying don't use this. Okay.
Well, that'll actually turn up this.
Oh, turn up this. Okay.
This is like your headset master level.
Okay. Okay.
So this is the international sound.
Yeah.
So we'll put the volume back on. It's not going to be the best,
Okay.
but it's better than it was.
Okay. You want to just simple?
It's going to sound a bit funny.
Okay. Testing. Chris
Don't
Langley.
touch that one. That's your microphone.
Can you say something, Chris?
Can you hear me? Oh, I'm quite old. Yeah, I'm really loud.
Okay, that's the best I've heard you so far.
Can I turn myself down? Otherwise, I'm going to deafen myself. How do I turn myself?
You're going to have to speak loudly because this gets really loud.
But how do I turn myself down?
How do you turn yourself down? Yeah.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Can you still? That's better. That's better. Can you still hear me okay?
I can hear you good.
Okay.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're loud enough, but I'm still too loud. I'm going to deafen myself.
Yeah, no problem. This is fine.
Turning myself, that's better, a little bit better.
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Thanks, Tony. No worries.
Can you hear me okay? Sir? Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, it's okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Are you tinny?
Yeah, very tinny.
Yeah.
Too loud. Can you hear me? Oh, I'm so loud. I'm going to like deafen myself.
Even when you're pushing it down?
I know. How do I turn myself down? This way.
Well, mate, you're right at the bottom. I can't move it anymore.
Oh, now I can't really hear you. No, you've gone quiet again. You have to turn it up.
I've turned. Hello, testing.
When taking a picture.
Can you hear me?
Just.
Okay.
Left pointer.
Guys, the audio's kind of gone dead again on us.
On the band and stand on it. Thank you for your cooperation.
Hello?
And
Yes, hi.
enjoy this.
Yes, can you?
Got
it.
menggunakan 8
Supanida 16 Tempowi 8.
Bangku dan berdiri di
atasnya. Terima kasih atas kerjasamanya. Selamat menyaksikan.
Jakarta is a sprawling city of over 10 million people on the most populous island in the world of Java. It is a wonderful place to come and see, and if you're a badminton fan, it's even better. As you see thousands of fans gathered here at the Istora Senayan Stadium, which is a historic place and quite often regarded as the mecca of badminton. The fans here absolutely fanatical about this sport. They have been lining up in their hundreds, if not thousands, hours before. The players here looking for a race to the finals, of course. But for now, their attention focused on the HSBC BWF Indonesia Open 2023. This is the opening day of action for us here, and on court one, here's the order of play for you. Starting in the mixed doubles, Feng and Huang of China, the fourth seeds, take on Singapore's Terry He and Jessica Tan. Moving to the men's singles, Xi Yuqi of China is in action against Young, who's had a very lively couple of weeks. To the women's singles, Nozomi Okuhara of Japan takes on another Singaporean in Yo Jiamin. In women's doubles, Rin Iwanaga and Kia Nakanishi play Busajoli and Gayatri Gopikan Bulela of India. And former world number one, Kento Momota, looking to get back to winning ways here. And can he do that against Hong Kong China's Angus Long? The crowd here will have to wait some time before we get some Indonesian representation, but that's expected as the day progresses. In particular, they'll be looking forward to seeing their highest-ranked female player, Gregoria Mariska Tunjung, in action, and that is a really enticing affair. She takes on former world champion P.V. Sindhu.
Indonesia.
And of course, we have the world number one, Victor Axelsen, at the end of the day. So lots to look forward to. This is the bracket for you. And you can just see there for Feng and Huang, and he and Tan, they could well be playing Christiansen and Boyer, who are in some fine form at the moment. They've just won the Singapore Open last weekend.
And the Soviet Malaysia.
So plenty of pomp and lights and noise here as you'd expect here at the Istora as we await the players to come out very shortly.
Indonesia.
As you can see, the 3 courts. I can tell you there's going to be a lot more people making their way in here. Already a pretty decent crowd.
Feng and China.
Listen to that crowd reaction. Absolutely brilliant. And this isn't even half full yet. So there's our Chinese pair coming through. Singaporeans getting a pretty good reception as well. And I'm sure a man who got a good reception back in the day is with me here, Chris Langridge, in the commentary position. Olympic medalist as well, 2016 Games, former Commonwealth Games champion. Chris, really good to have you with us. If you can hear me above all this noise, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I think on paper, I'd definitely say the Chinese are the favourites, but I've seen the Singaporeans play to an incredible level in the past. I'd say at the moment, maybe they haven't quite found their top level, but you know, this is a good chance for them to show what they can play like.
This is the first meeting between these pairs. Part of that, the reason, of course, is Huang Dongping and her partner Feng. They are still a pretty new pair. They only got together towards the end of last year. Just how difficult is it, Chris, for these pairs to come in and, you know, they get this wall of noise? I guess you just have to get used to it very, very quickly. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, it can be intimidating. If it's one of your first times to play in a hall like this where the crowd is, you know, they're phenomenal. If they're against you, it's pretty tough. Obviously, if they're with you, it is incredible because it almost feels like you've got an extra player on your side. Both these pairs are very experienced. I'd say maybe Feng Yanzi, he's the least experienced just because he's young. He's only 22. But he's, you know, in the last 6, 9, 12 months, he's improved so much that he's experienced enough now.
Look at that height, 195. He's almost 2 meters tall from Tianjin, China. He's a man who's won Sudirman Cup gold just a few weeks ago with China and Suzhou. Mixed doubles, he's a former world junior champion. But this is the big start here. Huang Dongping, who's 30 centimeters shorter. We'll talk to Chris about that in a little while. 28 years of age, from the south of China in Fujian. She is, of course, a former world #1 with that partner I told you about earlier, Wang Yiliu. That was achieved in April of 2018. An Olympic medalist as well. Gold medal at the Tokyo Games. Never got a world championship, though. A silver in 2018, 2 bronzes in 2019 and 2022. And when she was paired with Wang Yiliu, they won 10 titles together. Terry Hee Yong Kai is 27, born in Penang, Malaysia, where a lot of these Malaysian players, seems to be the hotbed of badminton there. 25th in the world, but has been as high as 13th. And that was achieved in just a few months ago, January of this year. Jessica Tan Wei Han is 29. They are actually husband and wife, by the way. They are the current Commonwealth Games champions in 2022 in Birmingham. And they've won plenty of medals as well together at the SEA Games level as well. And as a pair on the BWF World Tour, a couple of titles last year, the India Open and the All Masters. Chomoro Lalia is our umpire. Service judge is Raventos Pongo from Indonesia. How much, when you come into a match like this, you know you're up against a pretty formidable pair. I think you were saying to me before we came on air, you should be worrying about yourself first and then your opponents, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You do video analysis on your opponents to have an understanding of how they play, their style, let's say their better areas of their game and their weaknesses. But if you focus too much on that, then you don't worry about yourself. And the integral part is yourself. If you play to a high level and you follow the correct tactics, you're gonna do okay. You're gonna do okay, and then it might evolve as the game goes on. There could be kind of the cat and mouse in regards to something that's working for, let's say, the pair from Singapore is not working from the pair from China, so the pair from China has to change. There's adaptations that need to go on. If you're winning and something's working, essentially you keep doing it. You're not going to change. It's the pair that aren't winning that will have to be the pair that changes.
Right. So this Chinese pair have played in 12 first-round matches prior. They've won 9. They've actually lost 3. Terry He and Jessica Tan have played 67 first-round matches prior, 49 wins, been eliminated 18 times. And in those first-round matches, they played Chinese pairs 8 times, won 3 out of 8. So their record against Chinese pairs, as you'd probably expect, not so strong. So it's Chinese pair.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Amalia Cahaya Priviti and Febriani Tripui Kusuma, Indonesia. And on my left, Lani Tria Mayasari and Ripka Sugiyato, Indonesia. Amalia Cahaya
From Terry, seeing his creativity. First rally, whole double action.
Love all, play.
Great shot there from Tony. You can see how high up the court he was. Stepping forward here. It's the wrong shot there.
Service over.
Feng's waiting for the cross drive. Terry, for me, has got to fade it cross. If he puts too much pace in and the shot's going in an upward direction, it's going to be very difficult for the pair from Singapore today.
Gempa wicket want to serve.
Service over.
Service over.
2-1.
He and Tan with the slender lead at the start of this. Aggressive from Feng Yante.
Yeah, I think that was a slightly loose serve there from Jessica. Yeah. And it's just too much pressure.
Service over. 2-all.
Great flick serve there. And that's what we're going to see. Feng Yangzi in this hall, he's going to be so dangerous because, as you identified, he's a tall lad, 6'5", and the angles he can get. If you lift short to him in this hall, it's almost impossible to keep the rally going because the angle, he can just hit it so steep, and he's got a big hit, big smash.
Is the flick serve a risk with someone of that height?
As in, it could get called a fault.
Well, no, as in...
Oh, if you flick to him, sorry.
Yes, you flick to him.
Well, yeah, you know, you're right. If you catch it wrong, if you don't get the right trajectory on the height, if it's too flat and he's ready for it, you know, he doesn't really have to move. He can just reach up.
Yeah.
But then the difficulty of being that tall is it's much harder to get down low.
Right.
And also the agility side of it, just because he's slightly taller.
Harder to get to those lower,
harder
spots.
to get down to the lower shots and twist and turn.
Right.
But for his height, he moves incredibly well.
There's a case in point to illustrate just what you were saying. In that slot, who's going to put those away?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a good return. It's not Jessica's shot there. She's tried to intercept it and it's gone past her. She has to leave that for Terry.
4-1.
Good news for the Chinese is that, sorry, for the Singaporeans, they're still keeping
5-1.
pace. And they'll take anything right now just to keep up there. They've still got a 2-point lead. Chris, it's encouraging.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we've seen in part of 2022, I saw Terry and Jessica play at the Commonwealth Games, and wow, they played absolutely incredible. They were by far the best player in the tournament. I'd say since then, especially this year, we haven't quite seen the same form, and it can happen to everyone. It's just, it can take one match, and you get yourself back to kind of, the confidence, the flow, and I think something almost highlights it. Both pairs have played the same amount of tournaments this year, but the pair from China have played 30 matches, whereas Jessica and Terry have played 16, you know, which shows you play more matches because you're winning more games. The flow for Jessica and Terry, they've only won 5 matches this year from 16, whereas Chinese is 24 matches from 30. It's a significant difference, and you need the momentum, you need the confidence, but you get that from winning games.
Yeah, it's a very good point there. When you look at that, it's absolutely right. 5 out of 16. It's disappointing for them.
And we've seen this year, you know, they've competed, and in some matches they've had match points against some of the best players in the world, but they just haven't quite converted. But it just takes extra little something to find to be able to convert it, and then you get on that momentum, you get on that run in a tournament, and all of a sudden, it's almost like Christiansen, Boje last week, you know, incredible. They got better and better as the tournament went on.
Yeah. Chinese briefly had the lead. This Chinese pair have actually played Terry He before. That's at the Asia Championships a few months ago, but he was partnered then with Crystal Huang. So Jessica Tan not involved in that one. And they won very comfortably, 21-16, 21-12. The Asia Mixed Team Championships.
Service over. 7-4.
It's a poor return there from Crystal. She's tried to poke that through, but Huang Dongping, she's sharp there. She's poked it through and she's ready. She's waiting for that shot.
Service over. 5-7.
Oh, wonderfully placed there, Terry He.
Yeah, brilliant return. Great skill. And this is something that Terry has got. It sounds strange, but he's almost got too much skill, which I know doesn't sound possible, but by that I mean he's almost got so many shots he can choose.
Right.
Sometimes I think the biggest issue with Terry is shot selection, and that's because it's almost like he has too many shots to choose from. He's an incredibly creative, skillful player. But look at that, stop drop, incredible, yeah.
Case in point. Just took the weight off it, beautifully done. Lovely disguise. Like you say, getting down to those kind of shots, difficult, right? For Feng.
Yeah.
Almost losing his footing there, Terry He. Doesn't matter, the point is theirs.
I think that rally there shows how integral it is in this hall. It's hard to open up the court, it's hard to move the shot around. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. You definitely want to be on the attack there.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So the Singaporeans with
11.
a 1-point lead.
Play.
They've matched this pair at the moment, who are 5th in the world. Yeah, that's the zone that he's going to put those away, isn't he, Feng?
Yeah, and it was just the consistent pressure from the Chinese there. He's just stepped up, he's taken early, and he's just put pressure on Jessica, and she just can't get it away.
So Chinese back in front here.
11.
Yeah, it's good serve. It's got a neck cord. I think Jessica as well, after the point, was just asking Terry, was it going short? And I think it was, just because it clipped the tape. But it's so hard to make that very quick decision to leave it.
Quick serve there. Nice shot there from Terry He.
It's a good rally now.
That's an excellent rally, but one maybe that Singapore might feel disappointed in.
Yeah, about 3 shots in the end. Terry's hit the wrong shot.
13, 11.
That one there, he can't do that to well, an Olympic champion, but Huang Dongping, she's ready for it, and then she just applies the pressure back on. He's got to go over her in that situation,
right,
or in front of her. He can't. He's hit an upward drive. She hasn't chased enough for that drive to be of any benefit to the pair from Singapore.
That's the longest rally we've had so far, 24 shots. And they've just increased their lead.
And it all stemmed from the return of serve.
That early one for Jessica.
Yeah, the return of serve is not good enough. And Huang Dongping, we see this, we're not going to get a chance to see it a bit. It's then basically the Chinese have pressure on this pair from Singapore, but for me, it's not that they have to play an incredible return, they don't, but they can't be in a negative position from the return of serve. If the return of serve is going upwards, or if Huang Dongping at the net can just intercept it and get the attack, it's got to be a better, and again, it's not good enough returns.
Right.
He does have a very good serve, there's no two ways about it. He's got a great serve, Feng, but Singapore have got to find a way to neutralise the rally so that at least they're starting 50-50, not on a serious negative and giving away the attack straight away.
It's starting to run away from the Singapore pair.
Again there, and this is it. They've got to find a way. They've got to. We have seen from Feng Yangzi, we've seen, I think, 2 great flick serves, and that, for me, maybe has put the doubt in the minds of the pair from Singapore, and they're a little bit concerned about the flick. But if they're struggling with the low serve, the Chinese are just too dangerous. It's that flick.
Well, they pulled one back. They're grateful for that to stop this run of the Chinese at the moment.
12.
Who've been excellent since the interval. It's 6-1 since the break. In favour of the Chinese.
Brilliant from Jessica there, really good. Read that incredibly well.
That'll do her a world of good, right?
Yeah, nice bit of confidence, because this isn't, it's a fraction loose the net shot from Feng, but brilliant from Jessica there, really sharp. Good technique, she's not trying to hit it hard, she's just brushing it down.
Oh, good placement.
Yeah, it's for me that Jessica's, she's intercepted it, but her shot doesn't do anything, if you get what I mean. It's in between too hard and too soft. If it's softer, then Feng's got to step in, and the shot was dipped, so he has to hit his shot upwards. If she hits it a bit harder, then he's pressured, and he won't just be able to step in and play the cross-court drive. Good block, very good block. Yeah.
Took that really low, Terry He, and the lead is now 5.
18, 13.
Feng Yangzi stepped in so well. He took that defensive shot early and played a great block.
Difficult here for Singapore.
It's curved back in.
Came back.
Yeah, a bit of indecision between the 2 players from Singapore.
It's a good shot, wasn't it? Played by Terry He to that back.
Yeah, that's a brilliant cross court, and then Chinese did well to even survive that. Brilliant from Terry.
Nicely done, Terry He. We need to rack up these points here. Still 5 behind.
Service over 14-19.
Having a bit of a chat here with Jessica before this next point. See what she does with the serve. Looking at the flick serve, and we were talking about how you've got to be careful of doing that.
Service over
I mean,
20.
he's read it very
Game
well.
point,
You can see he's really off balance, but it doesn't matter. He's hit it that hard in the placement. I mean, it was placements to perfection. He's hit it away from Jessica. It's so hard for her to even get a racket on it.
6 game points here. 1 saved.
Service over
I mean, it was an okay return there from Jessica, but Huang Dongping, she just didn't move her feet. She just tried to reach, so she's slightly off balance. If she'd have stepped in, I think she would have had that fine. Drift.
Just out.
Yeah, just took it, just kept going that way slightly.
So in the first game,
won
it
by
is the
Feng
Chinese pair, Feng and Huang Dongping,
21.
who were trailing for much of the first half of it, stormed back after the interval. 11-4 post-interval, very much swung in their favour, and they've taken the first game 21-15.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So we go into this second game. We're just looking at Terry He and Jessica Tan's record against Chinese players overall. It's, as you'd probably expect, not
Second game,
played them 16
Love
times,
all.
only won 4 occasions
play.
against Chinese pairs.
19.
Let's see how they do here in the second game. It's a great start from the Singaporeans. Terry He.
Service over 1.
Yeah, great return from Terry. I think what you often don't see. I think Huang Dongping's serve there was a fraction loose. But yeah, Terry, great return. But for me, Singapore, they need to have a good start in this second game. Because the first game, it was kind of 11-all, and then it just fizzled off.
Yeah. Oh, some decent defending there, but it was an onslaught of shots, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was at one stage, it was incredible from Terry. I mean, behind the back and everything. But the thing is, it's just too much pressure from the Chinese, and this is constant pressure. And this is one of the things for anyone out there to learn is keep the pressure on your opponent. The only way Singapore could have got out of that was by an absolutely incredible shot. It was good pressure from Terry, but then quite impressive from Feng Yangzi, the way he could manage to go over him. Good return.
Yeah, the serve was interesting there from Feng Yangzi.
Service over 2-all.
It was good pressure, kind of just a poke into Huang Dongping's body there, and it's so hard for her to get the shot away.
Well, that's obviously going to be hugely frustrating I guess from any player's point of view, Chris, off the serve.
Yeah, it's just a cheap point. You just have to try and not let it affect you. But it's for the Singapores now, it's so important that they don't give away any like that. You just can't give away any easy points because the game is kind of, it's not spiraling out of control, that'd be an exaggeration, but if we look from 11-all, it really is now moving into the momentum for the Chinese. They're looking in their rhythm. Singapore really have to try and disrupt them and make them feel uncomfortable, so they're playing shots they don't want to play and making easier mistakes.
Well, they desperately needed that because
Service over.
it's
3-4.
so the 7th point they've got out of the last 22, the Singapore pair.
Jessica.
Looking to try and shift that momentum back if they can.
Don't. Yes, you just change the shuttle. Change.
Being
Yeah,
told
you
to
cannot-
change the shuttle. They'll be pretty pleased so far with what they've seen from their charges, the Chinese camp.
Yeah, long way in, just a misjudgment there. I think the drift slightly held that up, but that was quite a long way in.
Wang Dongping and Feng played Watanabe and Higashino in the quarterfinals and lost in 3 last week. That's in.
I would say it's been a match so far where we haven't had a lot of rallies at all. I think I can probably remember 2 rallies, and it's just flat game. No one really wants to lift. I wouldn't say it's quite as extreme the conditions as last week in Singapore, but
Thank you.
we've had 20 minutes and it's kind of, we're 5-4 in the second game. It's for me that the Singapores need to find a way of moving the shuttle around and getting on the attack, and getting the Chinese below Tate, which I wouldn't say has really happened. I'd say we've had very bitty points, very short rallies.
5-4.
So you're advocating a fairly aggressive approach over the Singaporeans?
It's got to be aggressive in regards to getting the attack, but for me, that's a brilliant serve. And this is, I think, going back to the point I made in the first game, where for me, the pair from Singapore, I don't think their returns have been quite good enough, especially when Fang's been serving, but it's because, as we see there, I mean, that's a very deceptive flick. He's got a really strong wrist. It's almost like last second, he holds and then just punch, a short action.
Yeah, their home tournament last week. Terry He and Jessica Tan out in the opening round to Christian Seneboya, who went on to win it.
And I think this is the thing, you know, just going back to the point I made right at the very beginning of the match, something in badminton which, momentum, when you start to win and you start to get confident, everything starts to kind of fall into place. And when it doesn't happen, it can feel like everything's impossible, you know, nothing's working, you start to doubt yourself, what do we do, why aren't we winning, the pressure builds. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's quite got to that extent, but for Jessica and Terry now, they're in Olympic qualifying, and they're a pair that definitely have the capability to qualify for the Olympics, but it's not going to be easy. So the pressure is building, and games like this are so integral because this is a 1,000 where the points are that bit bigger.
Yeah.
And it's a chance. You know, on paper, they're definitely the underdogs, but they can play, and I've seen them play at the level where they could beat this Chinese pair. I mean, at the moment, Chinese pair are definitely the better pair in this match, but we're still fairly early. Anything can still happen.
There's only 3 points in it. Oh, that was tight, but it was out.
Yeah, and the drift just took it. They've got to be careful. The drift's definitely going that way. And they've got to be careful that when they're hitting cross-court towards the drift, the shuttle's just going to keep going.
I want to ask you a little bit about that drift in a second, Chris. Do you know what?
Placement.
Given how he had to adjust himself off the service return, they've done really well there.
Yeah, and but the final smash here, it's a slightly short lift, but it's the placement, it's the gap. Is it a million miles an hour? I'll probably say it wasn't, but it's phenomenal, the placement and the angle. And this is what, when Terry gets that attack, he is so creative. And we haven't really seen that yet. He hasn't really been on balance when he's had the attack.
Now, can they put a run of points together? So just for our viewers who may be a little newer to badminton, tell us a bit more about the drift.
Yeah, so if you especially in Europe generally, we don't have as much of a drift just because we don't have aircon normally. Occasionally we would, but it doesn't happen very often. Whereas in Asia, just because it's a much hotter country, you have to have aircon, otherwise it's going to be, you know, incredibly hot in the hall.
11-6 interval.
And I've played in some practice halls where they don't, and you know, it is, I mean, alarmingly hot.
Yes.
It can be almost 40 degrees, and the aircon blows the shuttle just because the shuttle's so light that it depends where the aircon's positioned, the angle it's blowing at, and you know, there's a few other factors, the shape of the hall, how busy the hall is, and so on. Because some of the halls have automatic aircon where it's a constant speed, so then if there's more people and it's warmer in the hall, the aircon's going to be a fraction more powerful, so it's going to blow the shuttle a bit more. And in a hall like this one, I feel the drift is actually fairly constant. I'd say in Singapore it was a bit more swirly, and by swirly I mean the aircon can change. Whereas in here it's a bit more true that the aircon stays as it is. It's quite strong, but the shuttle keeps doing what it should do, and from where we're sat anyway, and visually it's definitely going from left to right.
Okay.
I'd say we haven't maybe enough rallies for me to get a good idea if it's going endy and which way endy. I'm sure it is fractionally, but it's very hard to see yet, just because I think we've had 2 rallies so far in this match. Hopefully,
been very, very few.
Yeah, I mean, what are we now? I think is that 25 minutes played?
Yeah, just under.
Yeah, and you know, we're a game and a half. That's incredibly quick for 2 pairs of this level. And again, that dangerous flick.
That was one fine to put away. One don't be.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think Terry and Jessica just having a little chat there, and Terry's just saying it was the wrong shot, and you know, it was the wrong shot, but it's hard for her because from there she doesn't want to just lift, and she's below tape, so what else can she do? She's trying to play net because she wants the attack, but you know, in a perfect world she'd poke it through and they'd be able to get an upward shot.
Had to adjust there, difficult there for Jessica Tan, clip the net.
But now it is looking like, when you look at the Singapores, they're feeling like they're struggling with the shot selection. What do we do? You know, the Chinese have had a very dominant display so far. They've had the attack. When they've had the attack, they've just kept the pressure on, and it is looking like it is starting to kind of, not spiral, but it is starting to get even bigger, the lead, because for me the Singapores now are starting to look like they are running out of ideas.
7 points, that is out.
And it's just such short rallies, and it is more simple mistakes now are creeping in as well. And I'd say it's not every rally, but you know, the majority of the rallies, the Chinese are getting the attack, you know, and this is a big thing that Singapore have to try and find a solution to. And if it's a way of both the players from Singapore pushing up, and if the Chinese go over, then it's like, so be it almost, because if they're just defending, I can't see them being able to come back. That's a great attack. You know, it's
nice
a short lift.
there.
Yeah, short lift. And when Terry gets a short lift, he's so dangerous because we saw in the first game, he's got an incredible stop drop and he places his smash. He doesn't just go for power. Like, even then, it was a big smash, but it was the placement that was key. And for me, Terry's going to have to work so hard kind of mid-court to get the attack.
They need something pretty special from here. Singaporeans, that's 2 in a row.
9-14.
And this is the thing in badminton, it only takes a few points.
Yeah,
you know,
change that momentum.
Exactly, and this is the thing, and it gives you that belief, gives a bit of doubt into your opponent. You know, almost 2-3 points ago, it looked very, very hard. Now all of a sudden, 2 points back, and the body language is slightly changing, the pair from Singapore, and they're getting the attack. That's brilliant play smash. And Terry there, he's got to cover his line. It's the integral part, and Jessica's got to cover the middle. For me, Terry was too far across, so the gap down the line was just too big.
But they've not been able to continue that run. The lead is 6 here. And that's also what's required by the Chinese to finish this off. Played that just a tad late, perhaps.
16.
It's running away. It's in danger here of finishing up pretty quickly. time.
17.
Real
9.
problems here for the Singaporeans.
9-6.
Play.
And for me, I think now Terry's almost switched off. You saw how kind of blasé that was. But the thing is, I saw it last week in an incredible game. Narioka against Anders Antonsen. It seemed impossible for Narioka to come back. The momentum, everything. And all of a sudden, the momentum just swapped.
Right.
And this is the big thing. It doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter if you're that you've lost the first game and you're, whatever it is, 18-10 down or 18-9 or 29. You can't portray that you don't believe. Even if you don't believe, I know it's crazy as it sounds, you've got to give the kind of, the body language has got to portray, it doesn't matter what the score is.
Right.
Every single point is so important. And yeah, I mean, the last 3 points, they're just gifts. And you know, the Chinese, don't get me wrong, they're a phenomenal pair. They're ranked 5 in the world, yeah, and they're ranked 5 for a reason, because they are one of the very best pairs. But you can't just switch off against them. You can't give them easy points.
11 match points here for the Chinese pair. One save.
Service over. 10.
Yeah.
20.
Just looking at the record of Terry here and Jessica Tan this year, they haven't gone beyond the second round of any tournament they played in. As you'd alluded to earlier, 5 out of 16 would indicate something like that.
And I do think maybe for them it could be worthwhile just thinking about playing slowly, slightly lower tournament just to get the momentum back, the confidence back, because that there was not a performance anywhere near to what I saw them at the Commonwealths. The Commonwealths, they were incredible, and they can be incredible again, there's no doubt, but they need to get the momentum back, the confidence back.
And I guess it's accentuated by what you alluded to earlier, an Olympic year. So that's an added pressure as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the thing, there's so much pressure on every single pair who, let's say, at the lower end of the qualifying. I mean, pairs that are, let's say, from number 10 to 16 on the qualifying list, because there is so much pressure that every single match you play is integral, because, you know, an opponent could go ahead of you, and there's so many things that can change. So it's so important to get the momentum going and get that belief back for Jessica and Terry.
A fine win then for the Chinese, who did that very, very quickly indeed. And there'll be other challenges along the way for Feng and Huang Dongping. And a straightforward win to get us going here in Court 1, Indonesia Open Super 1000 tournament.